Do you know that not all narcissists are loud, arrogant, or obvious? Some of the most dangerous ones are the hidden narcissists, the ones who pretend to be kind, humble, or even self-sacrificing while secretly manipulating you behind the scenes. Unlike overt narcissists, who crave attention openly, hidden narcissists play the long game. They guilt trip, gaslight, and slowly break down your confidence, all while making you think they're the victim. By the time you realize what's happening, you're already caught in their web. But here's the good news: if you know what to look for, you can expose them instantly. In this video, I'll reveal 5 simple steps to spot a hidden narcissist before they trap you. Stay with me till the very end because the last step is the ultimate test, and once you use it, they can't hide anymore. Let's dive in. Number 1. They play the victim while seeking attention. It's almost like they have a built-in script for drama. Narcissists are experts at playing the victim, and it's not just because they've had a hard life. Nope, it's because it puts them in the spotlight. When they're the victim, they're the center of attention, and that's exactly where they want to be. The way they tell their story, it's always someone else's fault. Nothing's ever truly their responsibility. They can twist any situation to make themselves the poor soul who's been wronged, misunderstood, or unfairly treated. You'll find them doing this in subtle ways, where they seem to seek sympathy, but there's always an undercurrent of manipulation. It's almost like a switch flips. One minute, they're chatting about their day, and the next, they're telling you how someone wronged them in the most dramatic way. But here's the catch: it's never just a sad story. Oh no! There's always a hint of how this injustice impacts them, how they're suffering because of someone else's actions. They need you to see them as the helpless, struggling individual in need of comfort and understanding. And sure, on the surface, it seems like they're just sharing their experience. You might even feel sorry for them at first, but that's exactly what they want. They want you to feel like you're the one who should be there for them, to give them the attention and care they crave. But the thing is, they're not really looking for a solution to their problem. No, that's too much work for them. They want you to focus on how wrong they are, how their pain is bigger than anything you could possibly imagine. It's not about healing or growth, it's about staying in the spotlight and being admired for their struggles. The way they frame everything, it's always about how much they are suffering, not about how they can improve things. They're less concerned about resolving the issue and more interested in keeping you hooked in their narrative. This is where things get sneaky. A narcissist can play this victim card in a way that makes you feel like you are the one responsible for fixing everything. They'll make it seem like your support is the only thing standing between them and absolute disaster. But if you actually try to help, you might notice that it's never enough. They're quick to dismiss any advice or suggestion you give, usually because it takes the focus off of them. If you tell them what they could do differently, it's almost like you're accusing them of being at fault, something they're simply not capable of accepting. They'll either brush off your help or, worse, turn it around and make it seem like you don't care enough. In conversations, these hidden narcissists are masterful at shifting the topic to themselves. You might start talking about your day, sharing something that's important to you, but suddenly, it's all about their problems again. Your issues become a footnote in their ongoing saga of victimhood. And it's almost as if they've been waiting for you to talk, just so they can swoop in with their own tale of misfortune. It's not that they're intentionally trying to overshadow you. Well, actually, yes, they are, but it feels like they always need to one-up every situation. It's a delicate balancing act. On one hand, they need your empathy, your attention, and your care. On the other hand, they'll never let you get too close, because that would mean real connection, and that's something they're not comfortable with. Their version of closeness is more like an emotional tug-of-war, pulling you in just enough to keep you interested, but never letting you fully understand the complexity of their true self. You're there to comfort them, but they'll keep you at arm's length, making sure you never see their true colors. And here's the kicker: they do this without even breaking a sweat. It's as if they've perfected the art of turning every conversation into a play where they are the main character. Their behavior is subtle enough to be hard to pin down at first. It's not like they're standing on a soapbox, shouting for attention. It's more like they've mastered the art of weaving their woes into every interaction, ensuring that they're always the one you feel the most sorry for. Over time, you may start to realize just how much of your emotional energy has been spent on their problems, leaving you feeling drained and confused about where you fit in the whole story. The victim act might seem innocent at first, but once you see it for what it is, you'll start to recognize the pattern. And as with anything a narcissist does, it's all about keeping the focus on them, no matter the cost to you. Number 2, they give backhanded compliments. When it comes to spotting a hidden narcissist, the first red flag you're likely to encounter is something that sounds nice at first, but leaves you feeling off. We're talking about backhanded compliments. These are the kind of comments that seem complimentary on the surface, but underneath, they often carry an underlying sting. It's like when someone tells you, "Wow, you're so much smarter than I thought you'd be," or "You actually look good today." They might sound like compliments at first, but the twist is that they're implying something negative, either that you weren't expected to be smart or that you're typically not looking your best. It's all in the subtlety. Now, the thing about a narcissist is that they know how to wield words like a weapon. They may not always come right out and insult you, but these backhanded compliments are their way of knocking you down without being overt about it. It's a tactic they often use to maintain control, subtly asserting their superiority while making you feel just a bit smaller. It's not like they'll straight up tell you you're not good enough, they're way too clever for that. Instead, they'll mask it behind what seems like a compliment. A narcissist thrives on putting others down in ways that can be easily dismissed or overlooked. If you call them out on it, they'll probably just smile and say something like, "Oh, I was just joking," or "Can't you take a joke?" That's part of the manipulation. They want you to second-guess yourself, to doubt your instincts. And, to be honest, this is a huge part of why they're so good at hiding in plain sight. The comments are never outright rude enough to cause a major confrontation, but they're enough to plant seeds of self-doubt. What's even more insidious is that a narcissist may deliver these backhanded compliments in such a way that you start to feel grateful for whatever they throw your way. Maybe they tell you that your work is surprisingly good or that your outfit today is actually pretty nice for a change. These types of compliments have an interesting way of chipping away at your confidence. Because they appear kind, you might find yourself thinking, "Well, maybe I am a little off sometimes, but they noticed the effort I put in today." Over time, these tiny jabs can accumulate, causing you to feel unsure of yourself, especially if this type of remark becomes a pattern. What's worse is that narcissists tend to make these backhanded comments in front of other people. That way, they can keep their victim under their thumb, without ever having to take full responsibility. They throw out a compliment that's just off enough to make you look bad, but they can always pretend that they meant well. The more you absorb this kind of treatment, the more you'll feel like you're the one in the wrong, even though it's them pulling the strings. The key thing to remember here is that a narcissist's backhanded compliments aren't really about you, they're about them. They're about making themselves feel better, about asserting dominance in subtle ways. They don't see you as an equal, they see you as a way to boost their own ego. And the worst part? These comments are meant to leave you questioning your own worth and feeling like you need to try harder for their approval. The real trick is learning to spot these remarks and realize that they're not just poorly executed compliments, they're manipulative tools. If you start noticing these patterns, especially when you feel a little deflated after a supposed compliment, it's a sign that something's off. Keep an eye out for the next time you hear a seemingly nice remark that feels just a little bit off. It's likely not about you at all, it's a calculated move by someone who's trying to assert power and keep you under their thumb, all while making it look like they're being kind. Number 3, they subtly undermine your confidence. Ever been in a conversation with someone and walked away feeling a little off? Like, something just didn't sit right, but you couldn't put your finger on it? If you felt that way, there's a good chance you've encountered someone with narcissistic tendencies. And one of their favorite tactics is a sneaky little game they play, undermining your confidence without you even realizing it. It doesn't come across as a full-blown insult or a direct attack. Oh no, that would be too obvious. A narcissist knows better than that. Instead, they're masters of subtlety, often using backhanded comments, passive-aggressive remarks, or just the right amount of silence to make you doubt yourself. It's like they've perfected the art of making you feel small without ever saying it outright. Let's break this down a little. Narcissists often thrive on control, specifically, the control they can have over your thoughts and emotions. And what better way to do that than to chip away at your confidence? They'll make you question your decisions, your looks, your abilities, and sometimes even your very worth, all without seeming like they've done anything wrong. You might catch them making a comment that seems innocent enough at first, but something about it feels off. Maybe they're commenting on the way you dress, saying something like, "Oh, that's a bold choice. I would have never thought to wear something like that." You might laugh it off, but under the surface, they've planted a seed. That little remark, disguised as an innocent observation, makes you second-guess your style. Was it bold, or was it just plain wrong? But they don't stop there. Narcissists know how to weave these little jabs into a conversation so seamlessly that you end up questioning the things you used to feel confident about. They're not coming out and saying you're bad at something, but they'll drop hints that make you feel inadequate. Maybe they'll praise your work, but in the most backhanded way. "Wow, this is actually pretty good, for someone like you." Notice how the "for someone like you" is completely unnecessary, yet it has a way of making you feel less than. It makes you wonder, was it really that good? Or are they just giving you the bare minimum recognition? The crazy part is, these subtle jabs can become so frequent and so small that they start to feel normal. Over time, you might begin to believe that maybe you're not as capable as you thought you were. Maybe you're not as good at your job, or maybe your ideas aren't that great after all. The narcissist's plan is working. They're making you second-guess yourself. And it doesn't even feel like they're doing anything wrong because they've wrapped it all up in a nice, polite package. Now, it's important to note that narcissists are incredibly skilled at making you feel like you're the problem. If you ever confront them about how their words or actions made you feel, they'll quickly turn it around, making you feel guilty for being too sensitive or overreacting. They'll deny any ill intentions, leaving you confused and questioning whether you've misinterpreted the situation. It's all part of the game. Eventually, the constant undermining starts to take its toll on your self-esteem. You become more cautious with your decisions, hesitant to express your opinions or show your talents. You start to second-guess every move you make, constantly wondering if it's up to their standards. This is exactly what they want, to make you feel small, so they can feel big. So, if you find yourself in a relationship or a friendship where you're constantly questioning your abilities or feeling like you're walking on eggshells, take a step back. Recognizing the subtle ways narcissists chip away at your confidence is the first step in protecting yourself. Don't let those little digs add up to something bigger. Keep your head high, and trust that your worth is not determined by their manipulation. Number 4, they fake humility but crave admiration. Have you ever met someone who seems to be constantly downplaying their achievements, but you can't shake the feeling that they really want you to notice them? That's the hidden narcissist in action, effortlessly faking humility while secretly fishing for praise. It's like they've studied the perfect script for how to appear modest, yet everything about their behavior screams, "Look at me." They'll talk about their accomplishments in a way that's wrapped in layers of false humility, but if you pay close attention, you'll start to notice the little ways they're hoping you'll stroke their ego. At first, it's almost impressive how good they are at pretending they don't care about recognition. They'll say things like, "Oh, it's nothing," or "I was just lucky," when someone acknowledges their hard work. But just underneath the surface, you can tell it's not really nothing to them. It's everything. They crave that recognition. They need it. So, what do? They leave just enough of a gap in their story, just enough of a hint at their humility, so that you'll fill it with admiration. It's subtle, almost like a dance. They're not outright demanding praise, but they've carefully orchestrated their words to ensure you can't help but notice their greatness. Here's where it gets a bit tricky. Unlike the narcissist who demands admiration with obvious arrogance, the hidden one plays it cool. They'll show you just enough vulnerability to make you think they're one of us, to make you think they're grounded and humble. It's a mask that hides a deep, insatiable hunger for validation. The more you praise them, the more they'll act like they don't care, but you'll see it in their eyes. There's always that gleam of satisfaction when someone acknowledges their hard work or intelligence. And it's not just about the compliments, they want specific types of admiration. It's not enough for them to hear, "You're great." No, they need to hear something more personal, something that speaks to their core self. They want you to admire them for their unique skills, their special abilities, their talent, or whatever it is that they've convinced themselves makes them better than everyone else. The hidden narcissist thrives on the kind of admiration that strokes their sense of superiority while maintaining the illusion of being humble and down to earth. They've figured out how to expertly navigate between wanting the world to know how amazing they are and pretending they couldn't care less about being noticed. You might even catch them self-deprecating once in a while, but it's always in a way that gets people to say, "No, don't be so modest. You're amazing." They play it off like they're embarrassed by the attention, but really, they're just setting the stage for more. The self-deprecation is a tool, not a sign of genuine humility. It's a calculated move to get you to lean in and shower them with even more praise. It's also worth noting that they're very aware of how people perceive them. If someone gives them attention or acknowledgement, they'll lap it up with almost childlike glee, but again, they'll act like it doesn't matter. You'll hear things like, "I don't know why people think I'm so great," but the moment the praise stops, they'll be right there trying to get it back. If no one is recognizing their brilliance, they'll find a way to remind others of their achievements. It could be a casual mention of something they did, or it might even be a completely unsolicited humble brag where they pretend to downplay something, but really, they're waiting for that wow response. Their need for admiration doesn't stop at simple compliments. They need to feel like they stand out in a way that makes them feel special. If you fail to acknowledge them in the way they want, don't be surprised if they subtly withdraw or act like you've just committed a major offense. They have a way of making you feel like you're the one who's missed something crucial, as though you've somehow overlooked the incredible feats they've achieved. It's like they're silently keeping score of every interaction, every bit of praise, and they'll remember it when it's time to remind you of just how incredible they are. The real kicker is that despite all their efforts to appear modest, their craving for admiration is never truly satisfied. The compliments, the recognition, it's like a brief moment of relief in a storm of internal insecurity. No matter how much praise they get, they always want more. It's not because they're ungrateful, it's because their sense of self-worth is so fragile that it can't be filled with anything less than constant, never-ending admiration. And so, the cycle continues. They'll fake humility to get the admiration they crave, all while maintaining the illusion that they don't need it. The best part? They're so good at it that, for a while, you might find yourself questioning your own instincts. Are they just a genuinely humble person, or is something else going on beneath the surface? And that's exactly how they want it. Because, for the hidden narcissist, it's all about the game of admiration. They'll wear their humble mask, but what they're really looking for is a steady stream of validation to fuel their ever-growing ego. Number 5, they manipulate conversations to focus on themselves. One of the most insidious tricks a hidden narcissist pulls is how they manage to take over any conversation and twist it so it's all about them. At first, it can be so subtle that you might not even realize what's happening. You might start talking about your day, sharing something exciting or even a struggle, and somehow, by the end of the conversation, the focus is on their experiences, their thoughts, their feelings, and yours have all but vanished. If you've ever found yourself walking away from a conversation feeling like you barely spoke, you might have just been a victim of narcissistic manipulation. What makes this tactic so sneaky is that it's not necessarily that they're trying to be rude or intentionally dismissive, at least, not in a direct way. They don't just cut you off and start talking about themselves. No, they're much craftier than that. A narcissist has this ability to subtly steer the conversation back to their own life without you even noticing it's happening. You could be sharing a personal accomplishment, and the next thing you know, they're telling you about a bigger, better version of their own success. It's like a conversation game of one-upmanship, where no matter how interesting or important your experience is, theirs will always take center stage. They might start with a seemingly innocent question, asking about something in your life, and then, just when you think you're about to dive into your feelings or thoughts, they'll twist the topic. Maybe it's a little detail about what they've done or what they've been through that's so much more intense or way more impressive. And before you know it, you're not talking about your promotion or your latest project, you're listening to them talk about their work, their life, and how their challenges are somehow always more intense than yours. It's like your story is just a backdrop to theirs, never truly heard, never truly acknowledged. What's even trickier is how they'll often disguise this behavior as concern or interest. They'll ask you how things are going, but it's never really about you, it's just a gateway to their own stories. They want to hear about you, but only so they can quickly tie it back to their own experiences, thereby subtly positioning themselves as the more experienced, more knowledgeable person. In their eyes, it's like they've already lived your story, and theirs, of course, is the better, more impressive version. And it's not just about making themselves look good. It's also about keeping the spotlight on them at all costs. A hidden narcissist thrives on attention, and a great way to keep that attention locked on them is by shifting the focus in every conversation. They'll play it so smoothly that you might even end up asking them about their opinions, their feelings, their achievements. The power dynamic is subtle but unmistakable. Every conversation becomes an exercise in making sure they remain the center of the narrative. Over time, this can get exhausting. You might start feeling like your thoughts, ideas, and emotions are constantly being overshadowed by theirs. You'll catch yourself making less and less effort to share your own experiences, because deep down, you know it'll just get deflected back to them. The narcissist, of course, won't even notice the imbalance. To them, it's just the natural flow of a conversation. They are always the star. Your input, your feelings, your experiences, just secondary to theirs, not worthy of much attention. And here's where it gets even trickier. The narcissist might occasionally drop a comment that appears to validate you, something that feels like they're listening or acknowledging what you've said. But again, it's all part of the manipulation. They may act like they're interested, but their real goal is to get you to keep talking about them. The compliments they toss out are just another way to keep you feeding into their narrative, boosting their ego even while they monopolize the conversation. It's almost like you're on autopilot in these exchanges, reacting to their statements instead of truly expressing your own feelings or thoughts. And you may not even realize it's happening, especially if you're someone who likes to listen and support others. But remember, when the conversation always shifts back to them, when your stories are left hanging in the air, it's a clear sign that you're dealing with someone who thrives on control, validation, and attention. It's a sneaky way they make sure they never lose their place in the spotlight. And as much as they pretend to care about your experiences, it's only ever about theirs. Always. And that's it, 5 simple steps to spot a hidden narcissist. If this video helped you recognize the signs, be sure to like, share, and subscribe for more tips on protecting your mental and emotional well-being. Have you ever encountered a hidden narcissist? Drop a comment below and share your experiences. Let's talk about it. Remember, trust your gut and always prioritize your peace. Stay aware, stay strong, and I'll see you in the next video.